Let's talk about globalizing business. Ideas that you can learn in different places in the world? Don't worry, because me with my team will help you to travel the world. We will discuss the European and global business. We study international business, a unified framework. Understanding globalization, a glance at the global economy and implication for practice. To help us in each lesson, here are the speakers and the topics. Jobert Bigon, Karin Orsino, Arnie Maceda, Irvin Rotomula, Maureen Somo, Clarence Omega, and Nicolay Libang. Ladies and gentlemen, please fasten your seatbelts. We are now preparing for takeoff.
These are the strategies that European business owners have implemented so that their businesses succeed in growth. So in terms of technological innovation, they make it easier for future advances in business to be made. So the first one is the multinational development. So they also work on having good relation with different countries to have easier and smoother access. So next is state intervention. So the short answer is that we wouldn't have had the single market without it. So in the internal market and probably the EU wouldn't have thrived. It wouldn't have grown as large and strong as it is today, despite all these remaining shortcomings. So the next one is industrial relation. So a system of industrial relations at European level has specific features which relates to current economic, political, and social development is the in the European. So it also attempt to coordinate their wage bargaining policies at European level in order to prevent race to the bottom in terms of wages and working condition within the Eurozone. So the last one is the social cultural attitudes. For those who work in international business, it is sometimes amazing how different people in other cultures behave. So we tend to have a human instinct that deep inside all people are the same, but they are not. So therefore, if we go into another country and make decision based on how operate in our own home country, the chances are we'll make some very bad decisions. One example of cultural differences in business is between the Middle Eastern countries and the Western countries. So especially the United States. When negotiating in Western countries, the objectives is to work toward the target of mutual understanding and agreement, and shake hands when that agreement is reached. So a cultural signal of the end of negotiations and the starts of working together. So European business history, in the absence of historical evidence at the level of the firm, historians, and to an even greater extent other social scientists have relied on macroeconomic data or made a number of assumptions regarding the performance, chief among them in strategy and structure of the firm. So technological innovations, multinational development, state intervention, industrial relations, and social and cultural attitudes it relies on experts in the major European countries who advise and support a core team by providing contracts and expertise on individual countries as well by contributing directly to the project. In the present, so especially here in the Philippines, so a sustainability impact assessment has been carried out in support of free trade agreement, so negotiations between European Union and assessment in the and the Philippines. So the sustainability impact assessment seek to assess how the trade-related provision in a future trade and the agreement could potentially impact economic, social, human rights, and environmental elements in rich trading partner in other relevant countries. So here in the Philippines, so there's a lot of European business established by different foreign and organization, mostly 60% European businesses here was established.
Good day everyone, I'm Karen Orsino and let's talk about global business. Global business means expanding business globally, which help them to provide connection and link it with other business parties. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of international expansion? Number 1 is entry to new market. The first advantage of international expansion is access to new markets. Once a company has been successful in their home country, it makes sense to take the business abroad. With access to new market, a business has the potential to build a new customer base. Number 2 is access to local talent. Specialized talent can be hard to find in your own country. However, expanding abroad gives you access to a pool of potential workers with a unique skill set. Number 3 is increased business growth. So one of the biggest advantage of entering overseas markets allows faster growth for business. New audiences experience your product or service. Number 3 is stay ahead to competition. Expanding abroad allows you access to new customer and visibility that your competitors might not have. Regional center. So one of the reasons why business expand globally is to be able to provide service to their international clients. So next is the disadvantages. Number 1 is cost of establishing and termination of an entity. Building infrastructure and setting up a business entity and paying local workers can be very costly. If plans don't work out, you may want to shut the operation down. Number 2 is compliance risk. When expanding into a new market, a business must adapt and operate accordingly to the country's regulation. It is important to partner with the right people to remain compliant. Business practices and cultural barriers. So, if you are expanding to a country that has a different business culture to your own, it is best to receive some culture training in their business practices, as well as social custom. Managing international employees, HR and payroll obligation. So, business and employment regulation may be different than in your own country. Therefore, it is vital that you partner with an international HR expert who will ensure your workers are legal and compliant to work. So once again, I'm Karen Orsino and I will give the virtual floor to the next reporter. Bye!
Why study international business? There are 5 reasons why study international business. Number 1, expand your toolbox of skills. A business degree program will teach you to think in a critical way and also develop your solving problem skills. These are two crucial credentials which will enable you to think on your feet and make the right decisions in pressurized situations, whether it be learning how to balance a budget or weighing marketing mishaps. You will learn to deal with the toughest of situations and find the smoothest way out. These skills will benefit you not only in your professional life but also in your personal life, setting you up for success whatever career path you eventually decide on. Number 2, avoid analysis paralysis. When overwhelmed by complex statistics and data, it is easy to drown in a sea of numbers and find yourself going on circles. One of the main reasons why you should study international business is that you will delve into the details of data analysis. A good business person knows that the foundation of a successful trading or materials goods exchange process are numbers. You will learn about statistics, patterns, and important economic formulas which help businesses make the most out of their productions. Number 3, become a people person in the business world. Communication skills are key. In order to be part of a thriving business, you need to know how to motivate yourself with your own drive and ambition while complementing that with a team spirit. A business cannot survive without clients and or consumers, and it is important to know when to lead and when to follow. Negotiation skills and people skills are essential for a modern business to run smoothly. Number 4, know your niche. You will learn how to correctly perform in-depth research. A successful business understands the importance on getting to know your customers' needs as well as recognizing demographic and economic limitations. If you don't know what your customer's problem is, then how can you know how to solve it? This essential knowledge will yield you maximum profit. Number 5, get creative. The more prestigious business degree programs should encourage you to develop your own creativity. The educational institutions of today are preparing their students to become leaders of tomorrow. There is no better way to help students succeed in the modern marketplace than to enable them to create a visionary product, idea, or model. And aside from all the reasons I already said, it is important to consider what would you like to achieve both personally and professionally. There are top 5 benefits of studying international business. What are those? Number 1, international perspective of business. Many businesses are operating on the global platforms in today's world. Studying international business offers something for every type of enterprise such as retail, finance, marketing, sales, and analytical job can benefit from the knowledge you will acquire from studying international business. In 2021, it is more important than ever to understand the global marketplace and how it pertains to your business. Companies are looking for well-rounded candidates in all fields of business. They want individuals who understand basic business knowledge and how international business coincides with their particular industry. Number 2, develop management skills. Building a solid management skills base is essential when studying international business. Although each business area may have some unique skills necessary, some management skills are helpful across all business platforms. Some of the most vital management skills that employers look for include leadership, communications, delegation, problem solving, decision making, organization, presenting, and writing. Developing these essential management skills is a massive benefit for graduates as they enter the workforce. Many students are preparing for jobs as managers, supervisors, or administrative leaders in an organization, and these areas are included in an international business degree. Number 3, widen employment opportunities. With programs available online or in person, students have the unique ability to boost their employability and expand their employment opportunities with an international business degree. While studying international business, you begin to develop management, business, and multicultural skills. Employers find these skills useful. In today's world, it is important than ever to understand out from the crowd when applying for the top jobs. Job opportunities are more prevalent to candidates who have a broad background in business and an understanding of the industry they want to work in locally and internationally. Number 4, learning about other cultures. When studying international business, you won't just be looking at the challenges in your location but other cultures worldwide. Being to solve problems for people is how businesses become successful. You can study international business online, which is a fantastic opportunity to build your cultural knowledge right from the comfort of your home. Technology today allows students to learn, interact with teachers and other students from their laptops. Learning about other cultures and taking part as a global citizens increases your understanding of people. Multinational corporations thrive on providing resources and solutions to people from a variety of cultural backgrounds. With your bachelor's degree in international business, you can present yourself as a knowledgeable employee who is ready to work with any company's cultural divisions. Number 5, establish a business knowledge base. Learning management skills is only one aspect of global business. With a degree in international business, you can dive into the deep understanding concepts of business to prepare you to work in a global marketplace. Whether you choose to study online or in person, you can experience classes from international teachers. The course work is expansive and delves into business basics such as managing teams, financial tracking, business processes, and documentations.
Good day, classmates. Good day, Sir Edgar Moreno. I'm Ervin Rotamula from BSBA OM4B. For today's report, I'm gonna discuss a unified framework. When we say unified framework for international business, it is known for its diversity and consequently its lack of central framework which affect its unifying its discipline. Our proposed fundamental question is, what determines the success and failure of a firm around the globe? To address this question, the international business literature can be broadly organized along two core perspectives. The first one is institution-based view. It attends to institutional forces such as economic reforms and government policy. When we say institution-based view, it is the external factors which affect the competitive advantage of an business. The institution-based view focuses on the dynamic interaction between institution and organization and consider strategic choices as the outcome of such an interaction. The next one is the resource-based view. When we say resource-based view, it is the internal factors that affects a firm to achieve its competitive advantage. Resource-based view is a model that sees resources as a key to superior firm performance. If resources exhibits the BRIO attribute, the resource enables the firm to gain and sustain competitive advantage. Thank you.
I'm Maureen Isomo and I'm going to report about understanding globalization. Globalization is an umbrella term denoting the growing modern interconnectedness of nation, people, and markets. So when we say umbrella term, it is used to cover a broad number of functions or items that all fall under the single common category. Then globalization. It changed the nature of economic activity among nations, expanding trade, opening global supply chains, and providing access to national resources and labor markets. So there are concepts and ideas associated with globalization. First is the free trade. It's an international trade left for its natural course that is without tariffs, quotas, or other restrictions. It is also a principle or policy to remove discrimination against imports and exports. It is also be understood as a free market idea applied to international trade. The next is the mass media. Mass media play a key role in augmenting globalization as they facilitate cultural exchanges and several flows of information. The next is the technology and the internet. It provides a means to establish relationships without face-to-face contact, referred to as a virtual friends and online business clients. Next is the social media and social networking. So when we say social media, these are the computer and internet mediated tools to allow people to generate, say, share, and exchange informations, pictures, and videos in virtual communities and networks. Then, example of this is the Facebook, YouTube, Messenger, and Instagram. The next is the social networking. Social networking refers to as uh, dedicated websites and applications to interact with other users or to find people with similar interests to oneself. Example of this is the Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The next is the transnational migration. It refers to the phenomenon in which people migrate from one country to another for further for a purpose of temporary labor, such best example of this is the overseas Filipino workers. Then next is the capitalism. Is an economic and political system in which the industry and trade are controlled not by the state but by private owners for profit. So the essence of this capitalism is to motive to make it profit. The next is the terrorism, politically oriented violence or threat of violence. The next is the international organization. Refers to a membership group that functions across national borders for well-defined purposes. The purpose of international organization is to helping to set the international agenda, mediating political bargaining, providing a place for political initiatives, and acting as catalyst for coalition information. They facilitate cooperation and coordination among member nations. The next is the state sovereignty. It refers to full power and right of a governing body over itself without any intrusion from outside bodies or sources. The next is the ethics. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that studies morality or the rightness or wrongness of a human conduct. There are four dimensions of globalization. First is the economic globalization. So, economic globalization refers to the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, flow of international capital, and wide and rapid spread of technologies. The importance of economic globalization is to improve the efficiency of enterprises and plays a great role in increasing the size of economy of every country. The next is the political globalization. So it is to develop and growing influence of international organizations such as the UN or World Health Organization. Means governmental action takes place at an international level. So the importance of political globalization is that we can easily contact and talk to other countries' leaders in times of crisis or concern. We are able to resolve issues and help spread democracy through the use of globalization, which has helped lower boundaries and borders as a result of war. The next is a cultural globalization, intensification and expansion of cultural flows across the globe. So it influenced by the diffusion of commodities and ideas. So for instance, trading of commodities like coffee and avocado. The next is the ecological globalization. Worldwide environmental issues, which include population growth, access to food, global reduction in the biodiversity, the gap between the rich and the poor, as well as the globe north and globe south, human-induced climate change and global environmental degradations. So this can reduce population in developing countries through, for example, importing greener technologies
everyone. I'm Clarence Omega, and this is my report. My report is all about a glance at the global economy. Did you know that the Philippines has 11.8% of economic growth as of 2021, with the corresponding contributors such as manufacturers, retailers, and wholesalers? Before we start, I decided to focus more on about the present. Now let's talk about the subtopics. The first subtopic is all about the economic prospects have diverged further across countries since the April 2021 World Economic Outlook. The pandemic has taken a turn for the worse in some parts of the world since the release of the April 2021 WEO. Meanwhile, a speedy vaccine rollout has helped bring down caseloads quickly in other regions. Economies are diverging even further, influenced by differences in the pace of vaccine rollout and policy support. However, smooth and durable recoveries are not assured even in places where infections are seemingly under control. Vaccine access has emerged as the principal fault line, along with the global recovery splits into two blocks. Those that can look forward to further normalizations of activity later this year, and those that will still face resurgent infections and rising COVID death tolls. The recovery, however, is not assured even in countries where infections are currently very low, so long as the virus circulates elsewhere. The second subtopic is all about the global economy is projected to grow 6.0% in 2021 and 4.9% in 2022. The 2021 global forecast is unchanged from the April 2021 WEO, but with offsetting revisions, prospects for emerging markets and developing economies have been marked down for 2021, especially for emerging Asia. By contrast, the forecast for advanced economies is revised up. These revisions reflect pandemic developments and changes in policy support. The 0.5 percentage point upgrade for 2022 derives largely from the forecast upgrade for advanced economies, particularly the United States, reflecting the anticipated legislations of additional fiscal support in the second half of 2021 and improved health metrics more broadly across the group. The third subtopic is all about the recent price pressures, for the most part, reflect unusual pandemic-related developments and transitory supply-demand mismatches. Inflation is expected to return to its pre-pandemic ranges in most countries in 2022. Once these disturbances work their way through prices, though uncertainty remains high, elevated inflation is also expected in some emerging markets and developing economies, related in part to higher food prices. Central banks should generally look through transitory inflation pressures and avoid tightening until there is no more clarity on underlying price dynamics. Clear communication from central banks on the outlook for monetary policy will be the key to shaping inflation expectation and safeguarding against premature tightening of financial conditions. There is, however, a risk that transitory pressures could become more persistent and central banks may need to take primitive actions. The fourth subtopic is all about risks around the global baseline or the downside. Slower than anticipated vaccine rollout would allow the virus to mutate further. Financial conditions could tighten rapidly, for instance, from reassessment of the monetary policy outlook in advanced economies if inflation expectations increase more rapidly than anticipated. A double hit to emerging markets and developing economies from worsening pandemic dynamics and tighter external financial conditions would severely set back their recovery and drag global growth below this outlook's baseline. The last subtopic is all about the multilateral action has a vital role to play in diminishing divergences and strengthening growth prospects. The immediate priority is to deploy vaccines equitably worldwide. A $50 billion dollars IMF stock proposal, jointly endorsed by the World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, and World Bank, provides clear targets and pragmatic actions at a feasible cost. to end the pandemic. Financially constrained economies also need access to international liquidity. The proposed $650 billion generally allocation of special drawing rights at the IMF is set to boost reserve assets of all economies and help ease liquidity constraints. Countries also need to redouble collective efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. These multilateral actions can be reinforced by national level policies tailored to the stage of the crisis that help catalyze and sustainable inclusive recovery. Concerted, well-directed policies can make the differences between a future of durable recoveries for all economies or one with widening fault line as many struggle with the health crisis, while a handful see condition normalize with a constant threat to renewed flare-ups. This is my report, Clarence Omega. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Nicolene Libang, and I'll be the last reporter for this group. And my report is the implications for practice. First is the globalization has boosted output in the Western economy. Globalization has enabled firms to specialize and to increase the intensity of research and development, innovations, and capital in their output. Globalization has made it easier for new companies to start competing with all the incumbents. The trade sectors has increased the number of people that it employs both through exports and imports. Next is that globalization has raised household income. Globalization has increased the real wages by lowering the cost of consumptions. Wages in terms of the amount of goods and services that can be bought. Many goods that previously were affordable to only few. Example is that mobile phones, laptops, smart TVs are now common in most households. Lastly is that globalization has given economies and people new opportunity. Globalization has spread new technologies helping to make economies greener and more productive. Globalization has helped to reduce gender wage discrimination and giving new opportunities to women. What a man can do, a woman can do better. Globalization has improved the quality of management in firms and the working conditions for people. The implications for practice of globalizing business is that it will marshal a great amount of economic evidence and combine economic research with examples from the real world that supports the age-old consensus about free trade. Its main conclusion is that the fast increase in global trade in the 3 decades before the financial crisis substantially improve Western economies and the living standards of their citizens. Globalization has a great force of spreading new technologies and providing new economic opportunity to labor in both developed and developing economies. Contrary to much commentary, it helps to put a higher premium on human capital and giving firms new chances to employ the staff they need to compete successfully. Thank you.